What is going on, everyone? This is Eric coming at you from just outside of Hartford, Connecticut. And today, we're going to look at the Scott Rolen trade, which occurred back on July 29th, 2002. Now, this trade was between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Philadelphia Phillies, and saw St. Louis acquire Scott Rolen along with another player from the Phillies in exchange for 3 players. Now, at this point in time, the Phillies were struggling to win games. And this, coupled with Rolen's constant friction with the team's manager, Larry Bowa, led to Rolen just requesting a trade. And on the 29th of July, his request was granted. So let's start by looking at what the St. Louis Cardinals got. So the first player they got was, of course, third baseman Scott Rolen. And he continued to shine as a defensive whiz. Near the end of the 2002 season, he would sign a massive extension with the team. He had a solid year in 2003, but he really broke out in 2004, when he had one of the best seasons of his career. He hit a career-high 34 homers and knocked in 124 RBIs while hitting a career-best 314. He finished 4th in NL MVP voting that year. Now, unfortunately, he would miss most of the 2005 season after suffering a torn labrum in his shoulder. But he did rebound very well in 2006, as he would hit 296. He had a relatively quiet first 2 series in the postseason, but he would hit 421 in the World Series as the Cardinals would defeat the Detroit Tigers to win the World Series. Now, unfortunately, he dealt with a nagging injury in his shoulder throughout the 2007 season, which forced him to be shut down early. After that injury, he was traded. His time in St. Louis may not have been the most, longest time, but he left his mark. He was a 4-time All-Star, a 4-time Gold Glove winner, a 1-time Silver Slugger, and he is currently a member of the St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Fame. Now, he was traded to the Toronto Blue Jays in exchange for another third baseman named Troy Glaus. And Glaus had a solid year in 2008, as he had an above-average season by his standards. Now, unfortunately for St. Louis, a streak of bad luck continued for the team, as for the third time in 5 years, the team's third baseman dealt with a shoulder injury. Glaus would only appear in 14 games that year due to said aforementioned injury. Now, he would walk after the season. All said and done, solid 2 players for St. Louis. Now, they also got relief pitcher Doug Nickel from the Phillies, and he was waived after less than a month, in which he did not play at the MLB level. So, obviously, Scott Rolen was a great player. What did the Phillies get for him? So they got third baseman, second baseman, Placido Polanco. Now, Polanco started off at third base. He was essentially the replacement for Rolen. He was a better hitting player, but still good on defense, but not the same. He didn't have the power that Rolen had. So he ends up getting moved to second base prior to the 2003 season after the team signed free agent David Bell. And over parts of 4 years for the team, Polanco saw his power numbers steadily increase. He hit a total of 44 homers for the team in those parts of 4 years. He had an average in the 290s and provided a strong glove. The team would trade him away as they needed to clear up a spot for Chase Utley at second base. They had David Bell at third base, so they didn't have a place for him in the lineup. And he was traded to the Detroit Tigers in exchange for a pair of players. The first one is relief pitcher Huguet Urbina, and Urbina pitched to the tune of a 4.13 ERA over 56 appearances in 2005 before he was allowed to walk. And he used to be a closer, but he had basically been converted to a setup man. He only got 1 save for the team. They also got first baseman Ramon Martinez, and Martinez was used in a reserve role for 2 months before leaving the team as a free agent. Now, in the original trade for Rolen, the Phillies got 2 more players, both of which are pitchers. The first one is relief pitcher Mike Timlin. Now, Timlin, he had a 3.79 ERA across 30 appearances before he left the team. They also got starting pitcher Bud Smith. Now, Smith spent 2.5 years in the minors before he left the team. Not the greatest return for the Phillies, for Scott Rolen. Now, what did the other 2 teams get that were involved in this trade? First things first, Toronto Blue Jays. They got third baseman Scott Rolen. So, Rolen would break his finger in spring training, which forced him to miss the first month of his tenure in Toronto. And he would miss more time as his shoulder injury would start to act up. But upon returning, he adjusted his batting stance, which led to him hitting for more power without straining his shoulder. He played well into 2009 before he was traded away, but that trade will not be discussed. Lastly, we have the Detroit Tigers, who got second baseman Placido Polanco. He, at this point, mostly was the second baseman for the team. So he stood out in the second half of 2005 for the team. He had a decent year in 2006, but he broke out during the 2006 ALCS, winning the ALCS MVP. Unfortunately for him, he slumped in the World Series as the team would lose to Scott Rolen. Kind of funny that these two basically changed roles. Rolen struggled in the 2006 playoffs before the World Series, and Polanco was the complete opposite. He was great until the 2006 World Series. So, yeah. He had a career year in 2007, recording 200 hits, a 341 average, and 36 doubles, all of which were career highs. He had another pair of solid years where he had a combined 295 with 19 homers in 2008 and 2009 before walking as a free agent. Now, despite these great numbers, he wasn't necessarily voted into the All-Star game just because he wasn't getting the power numbers that people liked. He was a one-time All-Star, a two-time Gold Glove winner, a one-time Silver Slugger, and a one-time ALCS MVP. So, in conclusion, how did these teams do in regards to WAR? So, obviously, we know who the loser is, but the St. Louis Cardinals got a 30.1 WAR, so they definitely won this trade. The Phillies got a 10.4 WAR out of their players, mostly Polanco. 10.5 WAR, sorry, 10.5 WAR. No, 10.4. The Blue Jays got a 7.4 WAR out of Scott Rolen, and the Tigers got a very strong 19.2 out of Placido Polanco. Now, one thing I do want to say is I believe Scott Rolen should be in the Hall of Fame, and that's because I'm kind of one of those people that likes the, I guess you could say, sabermetrics. He was a very good defensive player. His offensive numbers aren't the best. I'd love to see Scott Rolen in the Hall of Fame. That's why I made this video. I just wanted to say that. Also, I do want to say Mike Timlin, he may not have been a Philly for long, but I remember learning about this trade because there was an Arthur episode in 2006 that aired. It was basically discussing the Red Sox 2004 season, which Timlin was a part of. And Timlin actually voiced a character called Winlin, I believe it was, in the show. So pretty cool. That's what got me in, to know who Mike Timlin was. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a good rest of your day.